I now would like to invite Sister Mala to introduce the guest speaker of the day today. Sister Mala, please come.
Sairam everyone. Pranams to Bhagwan's lotus feet. Our collective prayers to Eswaramma and our beloved Lord. Today I'm here to introduce none other than Brother Sunder Iyer. He is no stranger to all of you. You know, his spiritual activities online has not only reached the United States devotees, it has reached beyond many countries, and he's doing a phenomenal job in that. His association with Swami, you know, the nearness and dearness, it's not, one page is not enough to describe his relationship with Swami, but I'll try my best to read it fast and give the stage to Brother Sunder Iyer, and he will be narrating his experiences with Swami. Dr. Sunder Iyer is an alumni of Sri SSSIO Institute of Higher Learning. He was in the first batch of students to join Swami's college at Puttaparthi in 1979. He completed his graduation, post-graduation, and subsequently earned his PhD in banking and finance. And he then continued to teach at Swami's University until the year 1994. As with all students of his times, Brother Sunder had innumerable occasions of being close to Swami and learning from his direct divine presence. How blessed you are. He had the privilege of being a close attendant of Swami for a short period during his student days. During these months of close encounters, Brother Sunder not only witnessed Swami in his day-to-day life, but also was privileged to be personally guided by the avatar. Later, in 1992, Swami was gracious to personally perform the wedding of Sri Sunder and Srimati Maya in Prashanti Nilayam. Sundar's passion in practicing and teaching yoga, he was the only student that received a gold medal for yoga. Congratulations on that. From the divine hands during the 1984 convocation of the Sai University. Everything he learned about this wonderful science, he learned at Swami's lotus feet and from the masters who would visit the ashram. His passion for spreading the message of Sai through yoga and meditation has taken him around the world conducting yoga and meditation camps. After Swami's Mahasamadhi, Sunder gave up his job and dedicated his life to spreading the message of traditional yoga through the principles of Sanatana Dharma. This is his life's mission. Sunder is also an ordained as an ecumenical minister by the Ecumenical Ministry of the Unity of All Religions in Ojai, California. Dr. Sunder Iyer and his wife Maya Iyer have currently set up a virtual Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam, a school for yoga, Vedanta, and human advancement. This is a non-profit 501c3 charitable trust that broadcasts daily online programs such as Satsang and yoga classes through the KYG Yoga YouTube channel. All KYG programs are free of cost, and he has a website for that. It's www.kyg.org. Without much ado, I will request Brother Sunder to take the stage and share all his experiences which he had during his Swami days. Thank you.
I offer my most prayerful and humble salutations at the feet of my beloved Master, my beloved Lord, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Dear sisters and brothers of this beautiful center, which my wife Maya and I consider our second home, because we have been here more than once. I still remember, I had very fond memories of my very first visit to Flushing Sai Center at a temple, Flushing Temple, 20 years or I think it was 2001, a little over 20 years ago, when for the very first time I sat on a stage and actually sang and performed publicly. So thank you for clapping and encouraging me. So you're all more than family. We have a bond that has brought us so close together. And so I stand here just feeling I'm part of the center, and it gives me great pleasure and indeed a great sense of honor to be here. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you for giving me this honor to address you all again and to share my thoughts on this very auspicious and holy occasion. Please accept my hearty wishes on Mother's Day, and for all of us on this Divine Mother, Sri Eswaramma, who was, of course, words can fail when you're, how could you describe the mother of such a great world teacher? What would have gone on her mind when little Satya declares he has a mission? And what went through her life when she saw this little Satya become Sai and so on? I guess we can only imagine that, right? We have heard these stories. I didn't get a fortune to see her. I would have loved to. But I did have the good fortune of interacting with Swami's sisters. They were just like any sisters in any family. She used to call me and scold me and chide me. Stop doing all that yoga thing on the rope, she will say. Very sweet, very loving, very simple. Just as simple as Swami. There wasn't any air about them. The whole Sai family was surrounded with an aura of simplicity, and in that simplicity lay their divinity. Swami was, of course, a perfect example of that. He taught us in very simple manner things which were very profound. The methodology was very simple. It wasn't complicated. It wasn't buried under rituals, or it wasn't buried under mysterious languages, codes and symbols that needed scholars to interpret. It was just down to earth, simple lessons. And it was these powerful lessons, and more than anything, the example that he set for us, that truly affected us at a very deep level. I was a youngster just like any youngster here, of course not raised in the US, so raised in India, raised in Bombay, but I didn't know Sai Baba. I didn't attend SSSIO or Bal Vikas. I had no clue what I was getting into. I went there because my father said it's free education, so go there. Because residential education was unheard of those days in India. And for the residential colleges that existed, when I say residential, you have a dorm that is along with education there. They were for the rich and the few. Either you had to be very intelligent or very rich. And I was neither. And so this door that opened from Swami's side, this door of free education, welcomed folks like us, and I was one of them. My parents were very orthodox, so at first my grandmother was very adamant that we don't want our child to get caught up in the Sai Baba movement, because they were very ardent devotees of Muruga and Shiva, and they said, "Who's the Sai Baba?" "Talamera patale bhayama irukku vendam," she said. I look at that head of hair and I'm scared, I don't want. But then my father told her it's free education. Apdiya, sari potom. You see, when I say this, I know it sounds funny, but look at there is something called humility of God. And this is something we miss. Swami opened the doors for people to enter into his fold in very simple ways like these. He didn't put a label saying you have to be worthy to come for my darshan, or you have to be worthy to even come close to me. He could have, right? Look at the stature of this divine being that walked the earth. I don't even know what to call him after staying with him, watching him, listening to him, learning from him. So I call him a being. He was far more than a human being. And I haven't seen God, so I can't say who he was, but I know he was a being. And for him, he could have demanded who should and how they should come and approach him and speak to him, and yet he said anyone can come. And see, he gave us excuses to come to him. He opened the door for education, free education, come. And people like me who had no background of who he was, walked in. Just like that. People who were sick, he opened free hospital, come. And people seeking health and wellness walked into it. Nobody was seeking him, nobody was seeking enlightenment. Yet he allowed them, come. So those who needed food, he gave them food. Those who needed education, he gave them education. Those who needed wellness and illness, wellness and cure, he gave them that. Those who needed consolation, counseling, we all know how many hours he spent every day counseling people, telling them that he is there for them. And when he had those spare times, he would spend those times in giving discourses, educating us, hoping that a few among these who came to him, artharthi, jignasus, like in the Gita it is said, Krishna says, I have all kinds of devotees. There are devotees who come to me for wealth. Please get me a better job. This job is frustrating. I need a better boss. Get me a raise in pay. They also come to Krishna, and Krishna says, it's okay, you come. Artharthi, somebody is sick, somebody wants to feel well, mentally, physically, spiritually. They also go, please give me peace of mind, please give me health, I need guidance. He says, come. So Baba opened the doors for all of this. But he kept teaching with the hope that there is a few who will catch on to what he has come to give. He said, I will give you what you want. I will always give you what you want. But I hope that one day you will want what I have come to give. What has Swami come to give? He has come, and this is my humble perspective, he has come to remind us of the rich treasure that we have within us. He has not come to become another God that we can keep praising for the rest of our life, waiting for the next God to come by. He has come to remind us, just as Krishna did, just as Jesus did, just as Buddha did, that seek ye first the kingdom of God within. Everything is within. Everything is within you, the whole universe, and all the treasures that you're seeking, all the happiness that you're seeking is within you. I know it sounds abstract, and we push it aside sometimes, saying, we will do that sometime. I know it's a good idea, but right now let me be practical, we tell ourselves. Let us focus on studies, we tell ourselves. Let us focus on career, we tell ourselves. Let us focus on raising family and focusing on this, all that, we'll get time someday. And we postpone it. But my dear sisters and brothers, what I've come to realize, that is perhaps the very beginning and the foundation with which we begin our lives. And if our children get a chance, we should tell them, build this foundation, start from that foundation, a spiritual foundation. Know that within you shines a divine light, and begin to live life from that foundation. That was the teaching of this divine Mother Sai. And he taught those profound lessons in very simple ways. One of the things that strikes me most is his very life story. And I know I see youngsters here. Just think of it. Sai Baba was your age, 13 or 14 years old. He decided to have a mission in life. What was his background? Now if somebody were to tell you, let's do something, you would say, all right, Mom, I need an iPad. I need the 4th generation iPad. I don't know which generation, I'm still stuck with the 2nd one, but I'm okay with that. It's good for Zoom calls. So I need my 4th generation iPad or the 13th generation iPhone, and I need a social media, I need a good platform, I need X number of subscribers. I don't know, we have a list of what all we need, right? I need my friends to subscribe for my likes, and then, yes, then I can do certain things. And then we have so many lists of what we need to do, what we need to have in order to achieve even small tasks. What did Sai Baba have? What do you think Swami had? Where was he born? Was he born in a fantastic metropolitan city? He was born in a God-forsaken place. It wasn't even on the map of the world, not even on the map of India. Can you believe that? What was the name of this place? Was it called Paradise? Was it called Vaikunta? Was it called the beautiful land of abundance? It was called the land of snakes and scorpions. Puttaparthi. That was a place, and that was the village he was born. Was it rich and fertile and full of rich people? It was desert-like for the longest time. So here is somebody who was born in the back of the beyond, literally, with little or no education, and he decides what? He decides to change the world. That young boy. And he never gave up that dream. He worked hard. He went searching for devotees. He started teaching. There were 5 people he would say, let's sing bhajan, let's go for a walk to the hills, let's go for a walk to the Chitravati. And he started sharing stories. Right from day one, he began to achieve his mission. He didn't wait for certain things to fall in place. He didn't wait for devotees to come to him. He would go out seeking devotees in Chennai and in Bangalore and so on. He never stopped working towards what he really wanted to achieve in life. And yet, with no money, no social status, no networking, no friend circle, he didn't look for anybody to endorse him or tell him, yes, you're right, go ahead on this right path. He went with that firm conviction that this is what I want to do, this is what I believe. I have a mission on earth. And in one lifetime, he touched millions of people. And that is not easy. That is unheard of. I know you might say, oh, but I know people who are quite popular, they have 5 million followers on YouTube or 10 million, and they perhaps are more popular than Sai Baba. Popularity is one thing. But you and I are sitting here, thousands of miles away, almost a decade after his physical passing away, millions of devotees all over the world. We are here not because he was popular, but because he touched something deep in our hearts. We name our children after him. We name our homes after him. So that kind of deep influence, how does one person do in one lifetime? What did he really have to achieve that? Many times Baba would tell us in the veranda, he would show his hand palms like this and he'd say, there is nothing in this palm. And yet there is everything. For the longest time, I couldn't understand what was he saying. What does it mean that he can create something? Okay, we have seen that, done that, but what does he mean by that? And over the years that I stayed with him and as I watched him and I learned from him, I understood that in that nothingness lies divinity. We seek to anything that we do, we seek external support, external crutches. I need to look like this. I need to have this, I need to perhaps have a home, a car, like I said, iPad or iPhones and this, and we need this, we need that, we need this. to be successful, we need so many crutches. Otherwise, we say we are not successful. We perhaps tell our children, look at this person, look at that person, how successful they are, you should become like them. How do we define success? Because on items that they have gathered around them. But Baba defines success differently. He says, do you know who you are? The most successful man would perhaps scratch his head. He might say, I don't know, I think I'm Bill Gates. And who's that Bill Gates? You or your body? Or just your education that's given you that name? What is beyond that? In Sanatana Dharma, in Vedanta, there is that search for identity which is the very core of one's existence. I was born in India. I was given a name by my parents. I was raised as a Hindu in a Hindu household. And so I assumed a name that was given to me. I accepted a faith that was given to me. I accepted a lifestyle that was taught to me. I accepted a certain set of values that were given to me. And I defined who I am. I say I am Sunder Iyer. And I write a nice little bio and I send it for introductions, right? So I have defined who I am. And I live with that borrowed definition. Most of that is borrowed, right? It is given to me. When have I taken a chance to ask myself, who am I really? Why am I here? Why am I in this level of existence? What is my purpose in life? That to me is one of the most powerful lessons of Baba's life. At a very young age, he set out his purpose in life. And he set out in a very unique manner because he had that identity clear. That identity is not belongs to him because he is some avatar who's descended from somewhere and different from us. He taught us in many ways that we are all the same, we have the same descent from that same source. We have chosen to not see that because we get very comfortable in this zone where we are. But he stepped out of that to show us and as an example that if you truly believe who you are, if you truly know who you are, if you know your mission, then go for it and then the universe will come and serve you and give you all that is required to achieve that. I can never forget certain things, like for example, when the university was just being built, a whole team of 27 odd vice chancellors came to Puttaparthi because they wanted to inspect. But even before that, Baba had motivated them to come, but invited them to come. But even before that, I was privy to this conversation. Baba was sitting in his chair, I was sitting at his feet, and there were two educationals standing. And very simply, Swami asked, like a very innocent, and in that innocence lies divinity. We say children are innocent, but because they are divine. We don't have to be wise to be divine at all. In that innocence, there is divinity just shining brilliantly, selflessly. So in that innocence, Swami asked, okay, so I have a college in Puttaparthi, he said. I have a college in Bangalore, he says. I have a college in Anantapur. Can we make it a university? And then the educationalists, they just, the Puttaparthi college is barely started. We're barely about a year into it. Swami said, how can we make this a university? And then one of the VIPs or the guests who were there, he said, he cleared his throat, he said, okay, so Swami is asking me a good question, I'm the expert in this. So he said, Swami, university kavalante, and he set out a list of what should be done in order to get there. He said, this is how we approach, right? We call it common sense. To some extent, it may sound practical. And so he said, Swami, in laboratories we need microscopic, some kind of microscopes and levels of research is to be done. And then in commerce we need this and that. And once all these are in place, then we can, Swami said, then what? Suppose we get all this, then what? He says, then Swami, we have to invite the vice chancellors from, there's a commission that will come here. And they will inspect all these colleges. And then they will decide whether to give you the status of university or not. Adi konjam time padutundi Swami, it will take some time. Why it will take time? Swami, because we need all these things in place. See, when Swami started these institutions, there wasn't fund, there was never excess fund with Swami. The moment some fund comes, he will say, serve it, good, send it for the purpose to be done. And so it was like a perennial river. It was always river. It never stagnated to become a well. There was never Swami said, let us first collect money, then start a project. It started. That confidence that the universe will flow, that divinity will flow, is amazing. It's something we all need to learn. And so Swami said, so what is so difficult about it? Swami, they will come, and before that we have to get all these things ready. Swami said, okay, then do one thing. Alright, yes Swami, what should we do? Is call them. Call them. So this person thought Swami didn't understand. I thought Swami didn't understand. Because Swami innocently said, okay, then call the vice chancellors, call that commission, let them come. No Swami, but we don't have anything. I know, call them. Where does that confidence come from? A whole commission, what if they come and say no? It's not easy to get them again, right? That's how we will think. Oh, let's use common sense. So we will start doing fundraising campaign. Let's get all this in place quickly. That's how we will think, right? But here he is going straight to the very end. If they are the ones who to give me, let's go to them directly. Call them. They came. I still remember watching Swami open the door and invite 27 odd VIPs, vice chancellors, who had already done their tour of these half-baked colleges, because they were all, every one of these colleges were being built little by little, something or the other. Of course, Anantapur was well established by then. So he opens the door, he says, oh, please come, please come. Beautifully, radiantly, with confidence, he's calling all these top educationers into his room, and I was watching that, I was thinking, here is somebody who has not even passed 8th grade. With what level of confidence is he calling them all in? What is he going to talk to them? How is he going to present his case to them? He did it single-handedly, by the way. He sat on a chair and they sat down. Look at that irony. That, to me, is the greatest level of confidence of divinity. Who was Jesus Christ? Son of a carpenter. And yet today more than 1 billion people follow his teachings. Who was Krishna, like you saw that? Raised to be a cowherd. He becomes the emperor of Dwaraka and Mathura and so on and so forth. More than 1 billion people follow Krishna. Who was Sai? A simple villager. And yet nothing stopped them from doing what they did. And after about an hour or so, when they came out of the room, all of them walked out of the room, and Swami comes into the bhajan hall, and like a 5-year-old, he's beaming with smile, and he's telling us, we are going to get the university. Who wants degree in my university? In 3 years after establishing the college in Puttaparthi, it was conferred the university status. I know it is very tempting for us to say, oh, but he is God, he can do it. And we are not, and therefore it's okay for us to be who we are. But if we stick to that philosophy, then Swami's purpose and his mission almost gets defeated, because he's come to remind us, listen, I came like you, to live like you. Because if he would tell us jokingly, if I had come with 4 arms, you would put me in a museum and charge fees for my darshan. So I came like you with 2 hands and 2 feet. And if I'm doing things like you, it's only to tell you that you can also do the very same things. And perhaps greater things. To me, the concept of avatar, where does avatar come from? He comes from us. You might say, wait a minute, what does that mean? It is our collective unconscious, it is our collective prayer for guidance. That we manifest this creation, this universal energy of which we are all a part of. We are not separate from God. right? You and I and all of us are part of that one divine energy. Ultimately, it's only one energy and we are all part of it. So when you and I, when I say you and I, it's humankind in general, at an unconscious level, we begin to yearn for higher evolution. We begin to yearn for a higher standard of life, a better way to live. Then that collective unconscious together manifests an energy that we call an avatar. Because otherwise, where does avatar come from? Not from somewhere outside us, because there is nothing outside us. It's all part of that one consciousness. And therefore, Swami is actually an expression of you and me. And that, to me, is a powerful lesson. If we can believe that beautiful form that we look up in our altar every day, when we close our eyes and meditate on that form of Swami or think of his divine name and divine form, and we think, we can also begin to think that this is a reflection of my own divinity. And if this is only a reflection, then how much more divine, how much more beautiful will the divinity be in me? There was a time I was very attached to Swami's form. I wanted his picture, I wanted him to sign, I wanted him to do this, talk to me and this and that. I needed like a 2-year-old clinging to the mother's sari. I wanted to cling to Swami. From not knowing him, I went to the other extreme of simply wanting him at every stage. He gave me all that, he encouraged me there. But then came a time he wanted me to begin to understand that he is more than just a Swami who will talk to you and sign your pictures and bless you on your birthdays. And he was more than that. He gave me many indications, but I didn't catch it. Then one day, as I was in his room, very gently, Swami said, "Inka emra kavala," he asked in Telugu. "Okay, now what else do you want from me?" he asked. Because in my letters I would say, "Swami, I want you, I want you, I want you." There was a deeper yearning to explore Swami more, to get more of him, but I myself didn't know what it meant. I wasn't clear. What does that mean, going beyond, accepting Swami fully? What does that even mean? I have his form, but yet that satisfaction is not 100%. And therefore I wanted more. And so, even though I was with him, I had my letter saying, "I want you." And Swami pretended that innocence at that moment, and he said, "What else do you want? I'm here, take me." And I looked at him, 6 feet away he's sitting and he's saying, "Take me." And I'm looking at him, I'm like, "Swami, what does that mean, take me?" I again said, "Swami, but I want you." "Come here," he said. I went to him. I knelt down because Swami was sitting on the chair. I knelt down and looked up to him. He opened the 2 buttons of my shirt and he asked, "Niku, Swami kavala?" And he took that finger and put his finger right through that hole up from that button. He pressed it on my chest. He said, "Niku, Swami kavala? You want Swami or you want Sai?" "Niku, Sai kavala. Cheppu." I didn't know what to say. So I said, "I want both. Swami iddaru kavala." Not that I wanted to be audacious or being smart, because I really didn't know what else to say. I didn't know what he meant by Sai or Swami. He said, "Swami kavala, Sai kavala, cheppu. Iddaru kavala, Swami." And very beautifully Swami shook his head. He didn't say no, but he just shook his head like this. And then he explained, he said, "Swami is there today, he won't be there tomorrow. Today he's in Puttaparthi, tomorrow he'll be in Whitefield. Today he'll talk to you, tomorrow he won't talk to you." Swami is always like that. Swami can't be with you throughout. But Kani, Sai untadu neeto. Intane, gentane, ventane, continue untadu Sai. Swami cannot be there, Sai will be there with you. In you, above you, below you, around you. Ippudu cheppu. It was a moment of understanding for me that I said, "Swami, I want." So I said, "Sai kavala." When I said Sai Kavala, he said, Chala Manchidi. He said, press me down to take namaskar. So I did take namaskar. Oh, thank you. I did take namaskar. I never understood, and then I came out and my mind was swirling because I was thinking, what is going on? What is Swami, Sai, Swami? What does it even mean? How do I make sense of it now? Until then, I had learned to meditate on his form because in bhajan hall I would sit in front and a few feet away he sits on the chair, and every day 20 minutes you have an actual, most authentic, right? You can't get more authentic than that. Sitting in, everybody singing, you get a chance to simply look from top to bottom. I would memorize. Every evening I'll say, I'm going to memorize today's darshan and replay it in my mind tomorrow. Every fold of his robe, everything, because I thought that is a way to tune into Sai energy, right? So I would memorize it and I had become very good at it. I could sit, close my eyes the next day and it would become almost pratyaksham. I would see Swami's hair and face and every twirl in his robe and every aspect of him. But after that moment, that afternoon when Swami said, Swami Kavala, Sai Kavala, and I said Sai and he blessed me. When I went back to next day meditation and I closed my eyes, I saw this brilliant form of Swami. I was meditating and then this thought came, but this is Swami. What did he say about Swami and Sai? And I was thinking, how come, what does it mean then? What does it mean? I don't know. And then this form would disappear from my mind's eye because there was confusion. To me, in my own spiritual path, that was a turning point. Because for the next 2 or 3 weeks, I went into intense yearning and searching, understanding, if that is Swami and everything about his form is Swami, then what is Sai? What did Swami mean by saying Sai? What is that? Maybe if it is omnipresent and omniscient, then how do I experience that? And how do I see that? 2 or 3 weeks, I literally would run away from the hostel, go up the hills, spend nights praying, waiting for some kind of answer. I didn't know what it was. And then, over 2 or 3 weeks, a beautiful poem began to form. But even before that, there was one experience that changed the trajectory of my spiritual experience. And that was that one morning again, I continued that meditation, but it would always end now in a very disturbed manner because Swami's form will come and I'll say, but this is Swami, and it will go away. And I will not know what to do next. And then it happened one day when I was watching Swami's form, and almost instantly that form turned into a brilliant light. I was bathed in light, and the light entered my whole body and it exploded from every pore of my body, expanded into, in a manner that I can't even explain. It was almost like the light is in me, I am the light, and then it just became only light, only light. There was a moment I completely forgot that even existed, only light remained. That was my first ever spiritual experience. And I knew something very beautiful had taken place. I was literally in kind of a different zone for many days. I couldn't even come back to normal after that experience. Because it wasn't imagination, it wasn't dream, it wasn't vision. It was truly, I could see that. I had opened my eyes to look around and all I could see was complete surrounding of light. And then in the course of the next 2-3 weeks that followed, a poem started forming in my head. And it went like this: I am light, I am light. I am radiating light, intensified light. God consumes my darkness, transmuted into light. Flowing through me is a crystal river of light that cannot be qualified by human thoughts and feelings. I am light, I live in light. I am light's fullest dimension. I am light's purest intention. I am light, light, light. I am light, glowing light, radiating light, intensified light. It took a couple of weeks for these words to finally follow. And as it came, my experience and my understanding became more clear, and then I began to understand the essence of Sai is this omnipresence light, this brilliance. It's like the very source of creation, if you will. There was something that opened from within. I felt a great sense of connection with something superior. And that brought a great deal of calmness. I knew I had touched the hem of Sai. The story doesn't end there. I thought I had that poem. I have chanted in front of Swami Puttaparthi over speeches and all of that. But the story doesn't end there. Many years later, this is how the divine takes time to reveal the secrets, it's one step at a time. Many years later, when I was in the US, I think it was 2003 sometime, our now very famous brother Ted Henry, most of you know him by Soul Germs, such an amazing service that he's doing, interviewing devotees from all over the world. He used to conduct study circles, study classes in Cleveland, Ohio. Then he was there. And we were attending that. And in a course of one evening, the topic came up on something like this, and I shared this poem. I said, I want to just humbly share with you a poem that I had composed many years ago. How quickly we take credit, right? And I said, this is a poem I had composed, I want to share with you. I read out that poem, everybody loved it, they wanted a copy of it. I said, sure, of course. And I was coming back and I was telling Maya how what a lovely revelation that poem was and all of that. That night I had a dream. So in that dream, we were all sitting in Swami's room, and I was there. And I was surrounded, along with me were a lot of people they were kind of bearded and long hair, and they had white robes. And right at the back there was one sitting, you could say they all looked like Jesus and apostles, and the one in the back really resembled. It's kind of vague, but he was sitting there against the wall, just casually looking at Swami. Swami sitting on the chair. In my dreams I'm always sitting at his feet, which is good. So I was there, and I talk about this poem to Swami in the dream again. And there is one person who from me taps me from the back, and he says, that is my poem. He said, that is my poem. It's all happening in the dream, so that's my poem. And I look at him, and the face is not very clear, but again, like I said, it's all about beard, long hair, kind of robes. And then it's my poem, and he gives me a card. And in that card, there is just one word, and that word is Kutumi, Kuthumi. I got up the next morning and told Maya, what is this? I had this strange, what is this? Is it a Sanskrit word? I never heard of this word in my head. It could have been Shiva, Rama, Krishna, Hanuman, anything like that. Yes. What is this Kutumi? I distinctly remember that card because there is nothing else in the card except one word, Kutumi. I'm looking at it, what is it? And Google was catching on. It was not as vibrant as it is today. But then I went on internet because I had no other choice but to see whether it is a medical term or is it an English term, Sanskrit term, what it is. And after some search, I found that there are a set of ascended masters, and one of them is called Kutumi. That took me by surprise. And Kutumi has, in the way it's taught, in that school of thought process, if you will, like we have Natha tradition and Guru tradition and all, they talk of Kutumi having his origins in India, in Kashmir, and so he is one of the ascended masters from India and so on. No, I'm not an expert in that, so don't ask me about anything more than that. That's what I knew then. And I couldn't connect Kutumi. Why did he say it's his poem? Then I continued my search. Then, to my amazement, I saw this poem. Somebody else says Kutumi gave him that poem. It's a lot more detailed than these few lines that I got. But these lines are distinctly part of that poem. To the word. And I couldn't believe it. I kept reading it again because I have an old diary of the 80s. I had written down that poem. So I have that poem written down. I compared word to word. And there was a lot more in between. But beginning and the end and a couple of lines here and there were exactly the same. So I didn't have internet that time. There's no way that this could have come to me through some kind of unconscious thing. Sometimes we don't know this thing happened. There was no way I had access to this. How did this happen? Swami teaches us in so many ways. I truly believe from that experience that when we go into Swami's fold, all teachers across all religions, all saints, they are waiting to help us. They are waiting to guide us. All I guess that we need is that intense yearning, longing. And if we are able to do that, it's amazing how guidance comes. And then the spiritual treasures within begin to open. You begin to truly understand, wait a minute, there is a source within me that is unending in its capacity to give. The joy that I seek from materialism, maybe, material wealth, maybe, I begin to seek that within and I find it there. The joy that I would rely on, a relationship, maybe, I find it here. The joy or whatever it is that I'm seeking elsewhere, I begin to find. When you close your eyes and you say, I find everything that I want here, that experience, I think, is a true gift of a spiritual guru. And Bhagavan has come to give us that. He is giving us that at many levels. I know all of us can relate to this. There are moments during bhajans, you close your eyes, when we touch that place, we all experience that there's an aha moment, there's a time, it could last a few seconds, it could last a few minutes. We feel, I was so much in tune with Swami. I forgot everything, all these troubles, and I just was there. I want to be there. But alas, it's not at our beck and call. We get lucky sometimes, once in a while. How can we open that door to that beautiful spiritual experience and carry that with us in all, whatever else we want to do then in life? We get guided from that standpoint. And fear does not guide us to take decisions. What will others people think? Let me do this to please somebody else. That will not be our motto anymore, because it will be very clear I am relying on what I am being guided. And that guidance, when it comes from within, gives us the greatest strength and confidence. To me, as a youngster, I saw Sai Baba living in a tiny, tiny room, much tinier than most of our bedrooms, with a single 100-watt bulb light, with a single sofa and a single bench to sit and write his notes. Today we need so many computers to even write a short blog. He was the one who actually started blogging, correct? In Sanatana Sarthi. He was the first blogger of our times, if you will, in the 1940s and 50s. He was the one, every 2 weeks he'll blog a small little write-up. And all our Vahinis that we read today, the Dhyana Vahini or Premana, are a collection of those writings of Swami. But where did he sit and write? On that little wooden table and a straight back chair. He would write it and then sit with Professor Kasturi and discuss it. He will translate it in English for our benefit. So when I watched him live in that room as a youngster, I asked myself one thing: how can somebody maintain sanity living like that in that small room and come out only to meet more people, listen to their woes, and go back into that room? It's almost like a self-inflicted punishment, right? Can you and I do that? Maybe for a weekend we might say, okay, let's try and play Sai Baba. Right? For a weekend we may succeed. Maybe for a week some of you are very strong. And for the really very strong, let's push it for a month. But how about a year after year, decade after decade, just doing the same thing over and over and over again? So did he ever go back into his room and say, all right, you know what, let me switch off, I just want to chill, watch some TV, and let's talk about that later. I just can't take it anymore. Don't we all do that? We do that, right? What TV did he have? No TV. Okay, at least did he have a painting in his room that can give him inspiration? No painting. Those are all stone walls. You can't even knock a nail into those walls. So there was nothing to look around except hardcore, cold stone walls. Is there a window with a beautiful landscape, but lovely trees and greenery and river flowing, a lovely backyard? No. Most of that window was closed. Heavy mosquito net screens, only one little window open. And yet he was shining with radiance, motivation, ready to go out again. And I asked her as a young boy in early 20s, I think it was, maybe 19, 20, I was thinking, how does he do that? Being in his room, though it was enjoyable, I wanted to get out sometime and run something and let the steam out. Right? But with him, it wasn't like that. He felt no need. I began to understand, and today I truly, truly believe that he was able to tap a source within him that was, and that is, and that will forever be unending in its capacity to give. There is a source. That is what made me begin to believe, wait a minute, there must be some source like this inside. Otherwise, where does that inspiration come from? Where does that motivation come from? Where does that wisdom come from? It seems unending. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. And Swami would, at a drop of a hat, he will say, let's talk spirituality. Let's talk. We as youngsters will say, oh no, Swami, not again. We would think, not say of course, we would think as youngsters we wanted him to create something or do something, make life a little more exciting than talk about Atma and Paramatma. Of course, we enjoyed his company sitting and, we loved that aura of being in his presence. But it will also surprise us, oh, Swami again started, talking. We will listen, but we're not listening fully. But then now I begin to understand how that when you begin to tap into that source, it is that source begins to flow through you. You just become a channel. Every avatar is the best channel of his own self. He just allows that self to flow through. And so whether he has education or not, it doesn't matter because that tremendous divine energy begins to flow. Whether he has money or not, it doesn't matter. Whether he or she, it doesn't really matter because they become the most powerful instruments of divine energy. Their own divine self. They've identified and now they allow that higher self to simply express itself. So the cosmic consciousness expressed itself through Sai Baba's eyes, through his words, through his actions, through his deeds. Every act of his was in tune with the cosmic consciousness. And therefore, when we look up to him, when we look at his form, we have that great opportunity to connect to this cosmic power. It has been many years since I left Puttaparthi. I left Puttaparthi in 1992. Many decades now, I can't even say years. I want to share with you that never once have I felt forlorn or left out by Swami. Never once have I had to say, where are you, Swami, help me? Never once. I've always learned to say thank you. And whenever I say thank you, I find him holding my hand and being with me. Always. Because he is present with you. We don't feel it doesn't mean he is not there. Correct? Baba would often tell this very nice analogy. He says, the father tells a little boy, look at that plane. And the boy says, yes, I can see the plane, Dad. Who's flying the plane? There's a pilot inside. And the little kid says, but I don't see the pilot. Yeah, I don't think there's a pilot inside. How can the father explain now? You can't see him, but he's there. Just because you can't see him doesn't mean the pilot is not there. Without the pilot, the plane will not be flying. Baba quotes that analogy to us just for us to understand that just because you don't experience him through your senses or you don't experience him, it doesn't mean he's not next to you. He's with you. And Baba would say, with you, in you, above you, around you, below you. Once you come into my fold, I will not give you up, even if you wish to give me up. I will not. More than we loving God, I think God loves us more. I believe this. And if we begin to believe that truly in our heart, and in times of difficulties, in times of despair, sometimes in times of confusion, rather than saying, where are you, why don't you help me, if we just close our eyes and experience His presence with us, then that difficulty or confusion dare not come anywhere closer. It slowly withers away. It does. All we need to do is not focus on that difficulty at that moment. Just focus on the presence. That presence that is divine and powerful. Everything else suddenly seems to fall in place. Sometimes it happens instantaneously, sometimes it takes a couple of days, but things do fall in place as long as we stay in the aura of that. When a child is hungry, the child doesn't need to spell out to the mother, right? A small child, the child is upset or the child is off mood, it just goes to the mother and perhaps begins to throw a tantrum or something. The mother knows what is going on. And the mother decides to take care of the child's need. The child doesn't have to ask anything. As long as the child is with the mother, she takes care of the whole thing. And within a few minutes or maybe an hour later, the child goes happily playing. What happened to that mood of the child which was made it upset, something, right? How would it happen? He just went to the mother, that's all. The mother took care of it. It is like that with God. God is not a philosophy. We like to talk about God, but then somewhere in the back of our mind, we don't feel it real. We don't feel Him as real as our spouse in the home or our children at home or our pet in our home. Right? We put so much faith in GPS on our car which says take the next right and next left. We just blindly follow it, right? We have faith in a $200 GPS, but when it comes to God, we are like, I don't know, we will see, I am not able to experience, I don't know what is going on. And we tell ourselves every time, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Then when will that I know come then? We're not even giving ourselves an opportunity, a chance to experience it. I have this favorite incident with Swami, this powerful learning of when I started saying, because I read a poem of Saint Francis of Assisi and I told him Swami's presence, I chanted this poem, he was very happy. I loved the poem because the poem goes, make me an instrument of thy peace, where there is hatred, let me sow love, where there is injury, pardon, where there is doubt, faith, where there is darkness, light, for there is despair, hope. And the poem goes like so. Now, when the first time I chanted, Swami said, very good poem. And I like that poem too, because I always wanted to be that instrument. Because staying with Swami, you hear about Hanuman, the devotion of Hanuman, you hear about Arjuna, you hear about devotees of the Lord. And he said, I want to be like that. I want the Lord to work through me. Like, he would explain how Krishna's flute and how it's important to allow the chant to flow through you. You're nothing, you're simply an empty flute. Become the empty flute and watch the melodies of the universe express itself through you. So I love the idea of an instrument. And so that poem made perfect sense. And I kept saying it not only myself, but that moment when I got a chance to speak in his presence, I said that poem. At the end of my talk, Swami said, very good. And that became my prayer. A few years passed, and I got a chance to speak again, with other occasions to speak as well. So when I got a chance, I thought, that prayer I had said many years ago, so maybe I can bring that towards the end of my speech, because I plan a beginning and end or something like that, especially with Swami. And so I said, all right, this time again I will end with that prayer. Swami had liked it once already, so he is surely going to like it again. So I have no problems with that. And so the second time, again, this was many years ago, with many other speeches and many other events have taken place in the middle. So you're talking of 81 to perhaps maybe 85, 86, I think. And the second time I told this prayer, I finished my talk. Swami blessed me. He didn't say anything, he just smiled. So I thought, okay, good, he's happy. The next day he comes to me in the bhajan hall. He asked somebody, how did Sunder Iyer speak? And that person said, Swami, very good. Good, but naakemo kani, when he says that, I'm like, oh God. He's like, I know, but for me it was like, and I was just, my God, what did I do? What did I say wrong? And then Swami looked at me and said, who are you to order God? He asked. What do you mean order? Swami, Artham Kale Swami. Who are you to order God? Empty, make me an instrument. Make me coffee, make me tea, make me instrument. God is your servant, you have to make me this, make me that, and I couldn't tell him, wait a minute, you told me this is a good prayer, right? 3 years ago. I mean, that is a prayer that is printed, that's a prayer that we all say, that's a prayer I've been saying all these years. Now what happened to that prayer? How can that prayer suddenly become something Swami can't tune in anymore? Who are you to order, make me coffee, make me tea, make me instrument? I'm not your servant. Then he paused, he knew, of course I was confused, right? He was very gracious, he said, may I be an instrument? May I sit down? Teacher, you ask your teacher, can I sit down? May I sit down? May I stand up? May I go here? May you take permission? Like that, may I be an instrument? Chapte baguntundi. May I be an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, may I sow love. I was like, oh, wow, what a perspective that was, right? And then, so that taught me, all right, this is a beautiful way to pray. There was a co-creation happening along. When I say may I'm not waiting for something to happen. Make me could be, okay, you make me, till then I will carry on with my TV show. I don't miss my Bold and Beautiful or whatever it is that I watch. So I'm waiting for God to make me. So I can blame Him, right? I was waiting, you didn't make me. But now when I say may it seems like I have to co-create with Him. I have to put in effort as well. Because I'm taking His permission. So there was a co-creating with the divine that became very evident in my consciousness, and therefore my prayer changed from make me to may I. May I be an instrument? May I do this? May I do that? And especially in that prayer, from this moment on, may I seek to give love rather than receive love. May I seek to pardon, then be pardoned. It goes like that. So it made perfect sense. I was very happy that Swami corrected me. Many years later, as I tell you now, it seems compact. Many years later in Kodaikanal, every day I had to speak in front of him, in his presence. And I was running out of matter. Like, I need a poem to end. Because Swami will say, Paatu Paadu, poem Cheppu, Baguntundi. He was like a proud father. Look at my students, they say poems and they can sing and this and that. So, I had to be scared. Okay, Swami is expecting somebody, maybe I have to be very careful of what I speak. So I had these 2-3 poems collected. So I had this may I. So I said, okay, now it will be perfect time to pitch that again. May I be an instrument. I'm sure Swami will be happy. Swami operates at many levels. At one level, he is projecting us, he is impressing some people, and we think we are, for Swami's sake, we are doing, But in the meantime, he is also teaching us lessons. At every level, he was so aware and so divine. It wasn't, it's mind-boggling to even think of how he could operate at so many levels. Anyway, so that evening, I finished my talk and I said this poem again. May I be an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, may I sow love. And very nicely, with folded hands, confidence, I said, and I really felt, it's beautiful to say in Swami's presence to him aloud, right? And then I bent down and Swami blessed. And then when I got up to look at him, usually that look, Swami will tell me it clicked or not. Because then the next boy has to speak or Swami will begin to speak. But that look was odd. So when I got up to look at Swami, what is this, man? I was like, what happened now? Inka enta sepu beggar laka may I. what he said was, still how long like a beggar you will say, may I do this, may I do this, may I do this? Again, I looked at him completely shocked. What is this? This is wrong again, right? And then Swami beautifully, very beautifully said, when are you going to say, I am an instrument? ఎప్పుడు చెప్తావరా? I am చెప్పు. I am. Oh my God. That was one of the most powerful moments, because we try to put the onus on God. Oh, you make me do, I don't know what to do, you do. So we can blame him later on, right? If something doesn't go, we'll say Swami's will or karma, we don't know. I am really doing my best, right? We don't like to take ownership or take responsibility of where we are. But Vedanta and Sanatana Dharma and the essence of Swami's teaching is never to give you that victim mindset. But he guided me, and it took me almost a decade. He could have done this on the very first day. Maybe I would have understood this, right? He made me go through that bhava, that yearning, and that understanding and growing. And when the time was right, he hit it hard. He said, wait, again what? May I? Waiting for permission to come. And he said, beggar laga. What is this beggar mentality? Come on, start saying, start saying, I am an instrument of thy peace. Chappu is, and I greeted the poem in his presence. So, the essence of Swami's teaching is this: empowerment. Empowerment of the highest kind. That is the basis of Vedanta and Sanatana Dharma, and actually the essence of all religions basically is self-empowerment, right? If you go to the core of Jesus' teachings and Bible, it is seek ye first the kingdom of God. Where is that kingdom of God? In St. Luke, Psalm 22-23, I think, he says, don't search for God here and there, search for the kingdom of heaven within you. So core of Jesus' teaching is the same. Core of science teaching is what? On his birthday, on November 23rd, he says, I'm giving you a gift. And he gave this gift, I am God, I am God, I am not different from God. He wants us to chant. He says, this is your gift, take this, chant it as a mantra. I am Satchit Ananda Swarupa, I am Akhanda Parabrahma, the indivisible, supreme, absolute, I am that. Grief and anxiety cannot affect me, fear cannot enter me, I am God, I am God, I am not different from God. How often do we say that? And I'm saying we, I'm talking, of course including myself in this, because when I say that, then I think, okay, but I'm not getting the feeling, it just seems very intellectual, I can't tune into it. And then what do? We give it up. But that's a mistake. Initially it will sound strange, right? But we have to stick to it. Sai Kiran sings so well, right? I know him for more than 20 years now. He told me last night that he went to a music teacher to learn music, in spite of being already a good singer. But I'm sure when the music teacher said, you put all that fancy turnings and all that, let's come down to rules. The first initial reaction I'm sure he would have had, and like many of us go, resistance, right? We are so used to that freedom of choice, bhava, feeling. Somebody says, no, do this. Your initial thing is, this is too dry, I'm not tuning into this kind of training. What is this? Sa, re, ga, ma, it doesn't make sense. But without that foundation, no bhava can come. Or that beautiful bhajan, Sri Ram you sang of Amma, how does that come? It comes from many hours of rigorous training, which has no bhava there in the training. Right? But that bhava comes as a product of that training. So when you're chanting, I am God, or thinking of that, or trying to understand, analyze, contemplate on that meaning, no magic may happen. But that contemplation, that effort, that attempt is a sadhana. And that begins to open doors at multiple levels. Many other doors begin to open. Then you will begin to piece things together. My God, that opening here has opened up so many other things in my life. Truly God begins to express himself through us when we start identifying ourselves with him. But when we adopt, in the name of devotion, in the name of humility, we adopt a very low self-esteem approach to God, that is not bhakti. It was not taught by Swami. That was not taught by Hanuman or Arjuna. And so Swami is here to give us the greatest self-empowerment. Yes, he has also said, I am there for you, I will take care of you. But I think, when you go to a college or a school, there are many grades in that school, correct? You don't go to listen to you go to the 5th grade class, you will listen to the 5th grade teacher teaching a language of the 5th grade. But you don't say the whole school is only 5th grade class, this school is no use. That teacher is talking as if she's talking to 5th graders. Wait a minute, you went to the 5th grade class. What if you go to the 11th grade? It will be a whole different ball game. So when we take Swami's discourses, we have to understand which grade I am in. And then you will see Swami addressing you at every grade. He waits for us to promote ourselves. And then he's that at that grade also. So he will tell you, I am your mother, I am there for you, I will take care of you, one level. But he also will be there to tell you, start saying you are God. You are God, you can do everything. Everything is within you, right? Everything is taught to us. And the fact that you and I are even talking about it today, or you are listening to it, that means that in us, there is a part that's willing to open to that highest level of teaching of Sai. And as Sai devotees, I think we need to, if not now, then when? I'm not saying you're growing old or anything, I'm just saying that we can pat ourselves on the back saying, I've been devotee for 20 years or 30 years or 40 years. The children turn around and say, so what? So what if you're 40-year devotee? What legacy do we leave behind for our children? What legacy are we going to leave behind for future generations? Are they going to see a generation of Sai devotees who are so empowered that they live their life to the fullest extent because of their faith and belief, like you and I are seeing Swami as a role model? Can we use him as a role model and follow those footsteps and fashion our lives in that? We have this chance, right? We have an opportunity that we can inspire children, and if they are so inspired, maybe their children might be a Parikshit who might give birth to a whole different level of Swami's story, like Parikshit of Arjuna, the great grandson, gave birth to Bhagavatam. Today the children played a role. That's a story that was revealed by whom? That was revealed many hundreds of years after Krishna's life by a sage to Parikshit, the great grandson of Arjuna, correct? So there's so many aspects of Swami we don't know yet that might be revealed by some great soul that might be born in your family as your grandchild. But for that to happen, how do you set the path? We have the chance to create that. I believe that. And I'm sure we all believe in this at some point, to some extent at least. My dear brothers, sisters, we have this greatest opportunity. One lifetime. And that lifetime, we have seen Swami. We have heard him. Even if you have not seen him physically, you have heard about him. You're right now here exposed to his aura of love. And if you want the power of that love to find true expression in your life, let us begin to take those steps. The steps that Swami taught us. He didn't make it very complicated. He said, practice only 5 values. Let us relive that 5 values. Let's constantly redefine, re-explore those 5 values. Let us bring those 5 values as conversations over a dinner table. Nobody is right or wrong. What is Satya? So ask your 5-year-old or a 12-year-old, hey, what do you think? What do you think is Satya? So you might say speaking truth is Satya. Okay, that's not wrong, right? But then there are so many more levels, and then you share your perspective, everybody shares their perspective. It becomes a matter to discuss, so it stays in mind. What is dharma? What is right action? What does it mean, right action? Is it contextual, or is there one right action that applies to all situations? So bring in these conversations. It will not only enrich you, because sometimes your own children might really ask you questions or put perspectives that you'll be like, wow, Swami spoke through that child to me right now. So give that opportunities. 5 values: Satya, truth, Dharma, right action, Shanti, peace, Prema, love, Ahimsa, non-violence. If these could be our day-to-day conversations or around these kind of topics, we just take any quote and just say, all right, today what do we discuss? We don't have to make it sound philosophical, sit straight, take a shower and come, we're going to talk about Swami. No, none of those. Just casual. but we enrich our conversations. We don't need to end up in talking about him or her or she or it, or any of that, but we enrich our conversation where we talk about ideas. Then the mind of our minds and our children's mind expand. They also begin to think of ideas that empowers them. And we enrich ourselves, and then Swami becomes once again alive in our consciousness. He becomes alive in our home. And then I'm telling you this, you will see Swami manifesting himself into you in so many ways that you will never feel that you are separate from Swami, you are away from Swami. You will know that he is with you, guiding you. That opportunity is open to all of us. So I want to thank you for your patience. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share these perspectives. I always leave it to Swami to guide me to say words, and he has guided me to say these words to you and to myself. That's what I'm going to take home tonight. When I sit on the flight back, I'll be thinking, okay, what did I speak? What have I to take home? And so every time we gather in His name, let there be love. Every time we gather in His name, let us practice unity and peace, forgiveness. And then you will find Swami with you. May Sai bless you. May Sai bless your home, your family. And may He be with all of us. May we experience His divine presence every moment and every day of our lives. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, everyone. Offering collective gratitude and pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet, who is our mother, father, guide and protector. Wishing you all a very happy Mother's Day, to all the mothers, and Swami, whom we consider as our dearest mother as well. I would like to take the opportunity to thank Brother Sunder for a wonderful speech talking about Bhagwan's life and motivating us each day into practicing Swami's teachings. Thank you once again, Brother Sunder. And we learn so many things from motivational speakers like you, and we want to implement that in our life. And thank you for the wonderful words of wisdom that you gave us. And like you mentioned, you are always a family to us, and we appreciate that. So thank you once again. I would like to also thank Brother Mani for taking care of Brother Sunder. Thank you. We'll continue with the graduation of the SSC kids. Sai Ram.
Kalatitaya Siddhi Rupa